Hi everyone, my name is Andrea and I'm a naturalist and educator here at Severson Dells Nature Center. I love my job so much because I get to take care of the forest and the creatures that live there and learn about them along the way. I'm so glad you joined me for this Night Night Naturalist time because we're reading a very special book and I'm especially excited about it because we're using it in our new spiraling curriculum. This is a great new program that you can learn more about on our website. This book is called Flowers Are Calling. The words are by Rita Gray and the pictures are by Kenard Pak, and this is such a beautiful book. I can't wait to explore it with you. Let's begin. Flowers are calling a little black bear. No, not a bear. He doesn't care. They're calling a butterfly to dip from the air. Do you see the bear and the butterfly? Well, bears don't eat flowers or things from flowers. Flowers are calling a wet green frog. No, not a frog. She likes her soggy bog. A bog is a kind of habitat with lots of water and plants, and it's a perfect place for a frog. They're calling a bumblebee to look near their log. Here's the bumblebee exploring a little bit closer. Do you see that frog too? She's very well camouflaged. Flowers are calling a porcupine. No, not a porcupine. She wouldn't take the time. They're calling a hummingbird to sip at their vine. Oh, look at these wonderful long flowers in the hummingbird. Do you notice that the hummingbird's long beak would be able to fit in them? A porcupine wouldn't be able to lick the nectar from this flower. Oh, and this page teaches us a little bit about the flowers we saw. If you remember with the butterfly and the bear, they were visiting Queen Anne's lace right here. Our bee and our frog were tempted by monk's hood, this beautiful purple flower. And our porcupine and our hummingbird visited this trumpet honeysuckle. Now this is a wonderful kind of honeysuckle. We have a kind of honeysuckle here at Severson though that doesn't belong, so we remove it from our forest. Flowers are calling a loud blue jay. No, not a jay, he wouldn't stay. They're calling a honeybee to fly on their way. Here's the honeybee and here's the blue jay. Flowers are calling a little moose. No, not a moose. What would be the use? They're calling a beetle to eat their pollen loose. Well, here's our moose and our beetle. The beetle's a much better fit for that flower, isn't it? Flowers are calling a rabbit to stop. No, not a rabbit. It's not their habit to call a rabbit. He might grab it. Well, that's true. Rabbits do eat flowers. We know that. They're calling a bee fly to visit their spot. And here's the bunnies and the bee fly. Now there's lots of flies who look like bees, and that's why this one's called the bee fly. But they don't sting like bees, they just want you to think they sting like bees so you won't eat them. Here's some of the flowers our friends were visiting. There's an apple blossom here. There's a magnolia here, that's so beautiful. And then we have a violet here. So those are the three flowers our last friends visited. Flowers are calling a small brown snake. Not a snake, for goodness sake. Although I do really love snakes and we have a very friendly one here at Severson, so I wonder if he'd appreciate the flowers regardless. They're calling a pollen wasp with nectar to take. Well, and here's the pollen wasp and our brown snake. Flowers are calling a fat raccoon. No, not a raccoon. He doesn't care for the white blossom or sweet perfume. They're calling a moth in the light of the moon. Oh, isn't it so interesting that these flowers are open at night? Most flowers are open during the day, but this must be calling the moth. And it's only active at night, I would bet. Flowers are calling a desert deer. No, not a deer. He can't even get near. They're calling a nectar bat to flap over here. Here's some of the flowers we saw. There's a blowout beard tongue. Isn't that a silly name? I love the names of plants and animals. Sometimes they make me laugh. There's a cardone cactus and a moonflower. Aren't they beautiful? And they're all different. They're all calling to different animals. Flowers are calling a busy wren. No, not a wren. He's already seen them. They're calling to children to look again. And these children, I hope, like you, will look upon these flowers and recognize how beautiful and important they are. And this page talks about how some animals are attracted to different parts of flowers. Some come to a flower because of their shape, like this funky tube that fits so well for the hummingbird. Some are attracted to patterns, like the stripes on this petal draw different types of insects in like directions almost, or a road sign. And sometimes they're attracted to color as well. Sometimes the smell of a plant, like this beautiful cactus flower, will draw animals in. And sometimes the time of opening, like do you remember how the moonflower only opened at night and that drew the moth in? So these are all things that help determine what animals are called to different plants. And that's why it's so important to protect all of the plants in our forests and our prairies and wetlands, because they're important for different animals. And if we take one out, that could hurt one type of animal quite a bit. So that's why we love and cherish every single thing in our wild areas. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I hope you have sweet dreams of flowers calling to you. Goodbye.